From Phantoms and Pumpkins to Prancer and Vixen, there are a lot of holiday movies to go around. For me personally, the last 4 months of the year are spent mostly rewatching spooky classics or Christmas cheer. And whether your own holiday viewing traditions favor Halloween or Hallmark, you probably have one thing in common with me. There are simply no Thanksgiving movies to watch. Why is that? I've come up with 4 key reasons, and in today's episode of When the Pictures Got Bigger, we'll explore them all. Along the way, I'm going to pitch 3 of my own ideas for Thanksgiving movies, and encourage you all to do the same in the comments below. Let's get the ball rolling and perhaps finally fix the problem that is the lack of Thanksgiving movies. 1. Thanksgiving is only a day. Now before you say, so what? Christmas is only a day, Halloween is only a day, Hanukkah is only a... Oh, wait, never mind.
It's time to celebrate Hanukkah. I hope I get a harmonica on this lovely Hanukkah.
Yes, holidays tend to only be a single day. But in the case of Halloween and Christmas, the season embodies much more than that. Consider the dozens of Hallmark original Christmas movies. These tend to be some of the most popular movies every December, with 33 of them coming out last year alone. And they all have some variants on the exact same plot. Big city boy/girl loves their job. They don't have time for Christmas cheer, they have a big meeting coming up. But oh wait, could it be? A small town boy/girl who's likely a single parent suddenly enters our main character's life and, get this, reminds them that there's more to life than a salary. There's baking cookies, ice skating.
You saved me.
You saved me.
And even
saving a small town from a rapacious corporation that intends to tear down a church in order to build a toxic waste factory where kicking puppies is integral. Okay, alright. Nobody watches Small Town Christmas.
But see, my point is that, with most of these movies, Christmas lasts 12 or 25 or however many days it takes for our self-absorbed lead to find love with the outsider. Halloween movies too are less about the actual day itself and more about the vibes of the entire season. Thanksgiving doesn't really have that. It's just a day, with the weeks preceding it not meaning anything, unlike Christmas cheer or Halloween fright infecting an entire month of the year. Nowadays even, Thanksgiving is over by the time Black Friday doors open, so it's less than a day even. And while I adore the Black Friday classic Paul Blart Mall Cop, that doesn't really make it a Thanksgiving movie. And speaking of movies that take place in November but aren't really about Thanksgiving, I have my first idea for a future holiday classic. It's called The Great Costco Strike, and would follow a middle-aged Costco employee, let's call her Trish, who really loves Thanksgiving. Maybe it's the stuffing or the gravy fondue, but something about Thanksgiving has always made it her favorite holiday. So, when Trish's boss Kent says that they'll be taking down Halloween decorations and immediately putting up the Christmas trees, Trish loses it. I envision a scene where Trish punches through a Santa Claus mannequin and yells at the top of her lungs that Thanksgiving is more than just a day, it's a way of life. All while the old guy comic relief in the movie silently eats a hot dog at the food court. The Great Costco Strike would probably be a Hulu original movie. And speaking of original movies, here's my second reason that there are no Thanksgiving movies. There's nothing original about Thanksgiving. What are the trademarks of Thanksgiving, really? Family getting together? Christmas does that too. Eating a bunch of unhealthy food? Halloween tops that with gorging on candy. Awful travel? Okay, fair, but planes, trains, and automobiles already cornered the market. You see, there really isn't much in the way of Thanksgiving iconography. Even the stuff that is distinctly Thanksgiving, like turkeys or pilgrims, have negative connotations to them. If the turkey is to Thanksgiving as Santa or Rudolph is to Christmas, then consider a movie where Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is all happy-go-lucky for 45 minutes until he's suddenly killed and eaten for supper. Because that's what happens to the turkey. The mascot of Thanksgiving is quite literally guaranteed to die by Thanksgiving Day, and that doesn't make for a good movie. And we shouldn't even get into the pilgrims, but let's just say that ghosts, pumpkins, snowmen, and even Jack Frost are much more deserving of movies. The sad fact is that Thanksgiving just doesn't have the characters or icons that its neighboring holidays do. And the obvious answer is that, oh, Hollywood should just make a movie about cute little turkeys trying to avoid being eaten. But believe it or not, they tried, and it did wonderfully. Alright, so here's my next idea for a future Thanksgiving classic. And if you didn't like Trish Takes Costco or whatever the last one was called, I think you're gonna love this. I call it Don't Forget the Stuffing. Essentially, it follows this guy named Paul, who's just been invited to his girlfriend's house for Thanksgiving for the very first time. Eager to impress her family, Paul sets out to obtain the single greatest platter of stuffing the world has ever seen. The only problem? The fabled 5-star stuffing is only sold at a tiny corner store in Vermont, and Paul lives in Alaska. Will he be able to get there and back in time, or is he destined to be remembered as the guy who brought subpar stuffing to supper? In my personal headcanon, I see Don't Forget the Stuffing as a cult classic comedy, which also says a lot about the indomitable perseverance of the human spirit. The movie would have premiered at Venice Film Festival, where it was sadly not once considered by any distributors and eventually was just dropped on the director's Vimeo page. A sequel was scrapped. And while we're on the subject of sequels, 3. Thanksgiving movies don't have franchisability. Nowadays, everything has to be a franchise. From Avatar to Zootopia, it's all about building out sequels and midquels and spin-offs and merchandise. Home Alone is a franchise. Halloween is a franchise. Freebirds is not a franchise. What? Hollywood is going to make a cinematic universe about turkeys surviving year after year, always on the cusp of facing their own mortality? Or a trilogy about how Mima and son-in-law Stu just can't reach an agreement on politics? No, it's not likely. Hollywood can, however, make franchises on ghost stories, spooky killers, and how Santa Claus constantly defies the odds.
Now who said that? Rudolph? Rudolph's mama?
Now, that doesn't really answer the question of why there haven't been more Thanksgiving movies in the past, when making good movies mattered more than making origin movies, but it does assume that making more Thanksgiving one-offs isn't a huge priority for Hollywood. They'd much rather recast Michael Myers or The Grinch for a new generation than pour money into something that wouldn't get a sequel. And when 2020's classic The Thanksgiving Movie gets a sequel, I'll eat my shoe. For my final Thanksgiving movie idea, I want to go really out there. Every holiday has its action movie. Halloween has the Scooby-Doo movies, and Ghostbusters, and Zombieland, and Christmas has Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, or Home Alone. What Thanksgiving needs is disdain giving. Follow along here. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, New York. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is just about to begin. But what the general public doesn't know is that they're about to watch pure mayhem. The NYPD knows, according to a ransom note, if $10 million isn't wired to an offshore bank account, one by one the floats will blow. Can the skeptical policeman Kent Mariano stop the attacks? Well, first, he'll have to believe that they're real. Disdain giving would be a moderate box office success. Hopefully. I don't know. Maybe it'd bomb. What do you think? And between Disdain Giving, Don't Forget the Stuffing, and The Great Costco Strike, which would you be most eager to watch? Let me know in the comments below, and I encourage you to write your own fun spec ideas too. But at last, I promised a 4th reason why Thanksgiving movies simply don't get made. Thanksgiving is an American holiday. Perhaps the biggest reason of all for the lack of Thanksgiving movies is the exact same reason that this video won't resonate with a big chunk of the YouTube audience. Thanksgiving is American. And though sometimes it feels like only Hollywood makes movies, that isn't the case whatsoever. Nor do American studios make movies without considering international audiences. It's unlikely that we'll ever see a surge in Thanksgiving movies because they're creatively hard to pull off, and financially they just aren't that great of an investment. Hollywood is in the money-making business, and to make a movie which would only be relevant in the 2 weeks of the year between Halloween's Afterburn and Christmas's Takeover, and would only be relevant in one country in the world, and would have very little sequel or franchise potential, it just doesn't make any sense. Would it be nice to have more Thanksgiving movies? Sure. But there's also TV shows like Friends and Bob's Burgers, which make their Thanksgiving episodes some of the biggest of the year. And until movies catch up, we'll always be able to dream. So dream away in the comments below, and be sure to let me know what you thought of the video. We're about to begin Season 2 of When the Pictures Got Bigger, and I assure you that it'll be full of even bigger and better video essays for you to enjoy. Thanks for watching everyone, and until the next time, I'll see you at the movies.